You should wear the ring on that day, too.
I might. What's the name of the fellow who gave this again?
Tony.
Thank you, Tony. You're great.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience Super Bowl 58 recap, reaction, plus we're giving away a gift to someone on the show today, a mini version of Cust Corner. So I want all of you to smash the like button to the episode, sub to Mayo Media Network, sub to the audio podcast, and you turn on those auto downloads, all right? Because Tim, Geoff, and myself will be back with you for golf on late Monday evening for the Genesis Invitational. If you're missing some me, Geoff, and Tim in your life, and we will be here next Monday with you, power ranking the NFL teams per Geoff's rankings about how teams actually did in the mind of one Geoff Fienberg this season. Geoff, it was a very good weekend for you, but the people need to know, despite all the bets that you won, did Usher get your wife ramped up enough?
You know, the the overtime, I just missed my window. I wasn't home. If I was home, yeah. But by the time I got home, it was a 4-hour game. Like, she was asleep.
Yeah. Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's not like some of these dads who are like totally lacking for opportunities. So, it's not like we're without it. Maybe just, play that Usher like low key in the background this week to still have those vibes from Sunday. Like, you could still get some reciprocals, maybe, boys.
Well, let's jump into Super Bowl 58, the recap. Kansas City wins 25-22 with our third member in studio today. It is Tim Cust.
Not my name.
How did you find that the Super Bowl went? Would you say it was an enjoyable Super Bowl?
I would say it started poorly and then got really interesting and then became an all-timer in like that stretch.
An all-timer?
Well, I mean, 2 Super Bowls have ever gone to overtime. It was close. There was full of like questionable decisions and debatable topics. There were lots of memorable moments. And then, it went from blah to really good. It reminded me a lot of the Patriots-Panthers Super Bowl, which was god-awful for the first half and then became kind of really intriguing in the second half.
Yeah, Geoff, do you think that's the way that this is going to end up going? That when we think about this in 10 years, because we ranked our Super Bowls on the Super Bowl intro show that we did last week, I had the Carolina and Patriots Super Bowl as one of like my 5 favorite Super Bowls. And I didn't even remember that the first half sucked. I just remembered the second half and how much fun it was.
This will unequivocally be one of the most memorable Super Bowls ever. Ever. Yeah. For everything that happened. For all like, the like, can't deny it, like the Taylor Swift aspect of it. I think we'll remember the ridiculous storylines that like she brought along to this game, or the rigged, and even the tweet from Biden last night. Like, this will be maybe one of the most memorable ever. Also, it kind of cements the Chiefs in a rarefied air situation. So if they do go on to build on this, if Mahomes does catch Brady, I believe like this will be the one that we kind of all like. It will be the one that we symbolically remember, certainly more than the first 2 Chiefs wins. So yeah, I think everything adds up. And as Tim said, there were so many decisions in this game, countless decisions. You kind of forget the first half was boring. You feel bad for all the new football fans. We're like, well, what is this thing? But incredibly memorable. Kyle Shanahan blows another 10-point lead in a Super Bowl. The 49ers, no team. It's been 3 Super Bowls, 2 NFC title games, maybe 4 NFC title games that they've lost in the span. Like, holy shit. They're Rory McIlroy.
They are a little bit like Rory, or they're just like early 2000s Andy Reid.
Yes, but Rory at least like I use the Rory analogy because of the 80s and 90s, he was winning his majors. They were winning their Super Bowls. So, like, we have the 5 wins from before the close call misses. But we don't need to go down that path. So many decisions. Oh, my God. Yeah, the Chiefs have triplets.
Yeah, how does that make you feel that a team in your division is just winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl? Tim can relate to this.
Yeah, it's awful. It doesn't get any
Yeah,
better.
I mean, maybe like now there'll be like a hatred turn, but the Chiefs Kingdom loves me. Like, they literally love me. I'm always there to talk them off the ledge. Last night's game, would you not argue last night's game was literally symbolic of the entire Chiefs season?
Yeah,
like,
I would
in
agree.
a nutshell.
I would agree.
It
Super
was
slow.
their whole season over 5 quarters. It was everything we saw the whole year with them. Mahomes is so good. Maybe if Mahomes was like a 6th round pick, I would be so angry, like Patriots fans did. But I just watch. I'm always impressed. He didn't play great last night. I love Andy Reid. You know, Kelsey's cool. I don't know. I don't have the hatred yet. Maybe if they keep winning, we'll see my hatred develop stronger. It's not there yet. At the same time, at this moment in time, send me there. Send me there for the banner.
So
Let's go.
I think there's a real chance you're going to be there for the banner.
Are the Ravens in KC next year? Because I think as a
They are. They
so
are,
that
but you
could
don't
be
need.
the
But you don't need to
Because
burn Ravens Chiefs.
They
Opening
did
night.
that. They did that to the Chiefs versus the Patriots. The Chiefs lost an NFC title game, I believe, an AFC title game at home, and the Patriots won the Super Bowl.
No,
And they sent the Chiefs to Foxborough to start the year.
that's not the right year. No, the year that the Patriots won the Super Bowl was the weird 100th anniversary year, and they actually gave Bears Packers opening night.
So now I'm blurring everything.
That
in
was
my
a different
mind,
year. That was a different year. I think it
I
was an
think
Alex
we,
Smith
yeah,
Chiefs
I think
year.
it'll be. I think it'll be one of the Harbaughs will be watching the banner draw.
And I think it makes sense to go ahead and burn the LA Chargers in that spot the way they burned the Lions last year.
You can burn
You don't
the-
need the marquee game, which is Ravens.
you
Chiefs.
could burn the Broncos as well.
You could.
Just because I would feel like there's more of a legitimate rivalry between the Chiefs and Broncos than there would be between the Chiefs and Chargers.
I don't know about that. I don't know that I agree about that. I think,
But they love the Herbert Mahomes gets primetime every year.
They
it
do.
seems.
Although they didn't this year, but almost every
Yes,
year.
we were this week too. We were Amazon.
That was 2 years ago, Jeff.
Oh my God, it's all a blur.
That was 2 years ago.
I think the real
Sorry,
question.
so I've now blurred. When you win so many Super Bowls like the Patriots, like the Chiefs, things start to blur. Guys, I'm going from the bottle this morning, okay?
I like it.
No, it's a tough one. I pulled this from the fridge. I'm chasing orange juice with water. When you turn 4, I was never the Super Bowl needs to be on a Saturday guy. All through my teens, I could pull it off. Whatever. Going to work, talking sports the next day. I guess I'm lucky in that way. But now I need like day off after Super Bowl. Come on.
When is President's Day?
Next Monday.
Can't we just change President's Day to the day after the Super Bowl?
Well,
Why does it have to be?
It's on Washington's birthday.
Then whatever. Make up something else. Like, who cares? It's
Or-
a holiday in February. This is the only thing that America watches as a whole at this point.
I agree
And
with
just
you.
lean into it.
I agree. There ought to be a national holiday the day after the Super Bowl. I've long said that.
Saturday is known for like not being the preferred TV night, but I
No.
believe the Super Bowl would like transcend that.
Maybe, but you don't play around with that. You don't play around with like the most valuable piece in sports media or in media, really, which is the Super Bowl. It's always played on a Sunday. They did move it from the afternoon to the evening at one point, but that's it. Like, you don't play with Sunday. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Like, it's synonymous.
I mean,
You know, in theory, Sunday, everyone's home. Kids got school the next day. Obviously, the Super Bowl is different. That's why Sunday is always the preferred. You don't see like tentpole events on Saturday night, ever. They'd rather do a Tuesday night than a Saturday night. Saturday night, people have plans. That's not to say people wouldn't change their plans, but I don't know. Saturday night, I don't feel like they want to make it Saturday.
Yeah, the only big, massive sporting event on Saturdays is the Final Four.
UFCs,
True. But they're a little more
Yeah,
sporadic.
boxing
You don't really know when they're going to be.
pay-per-views.
they're always on Saturdays.
Yeah, but you don't know which Saturday. It's not like an appointment in the calendar. It's like,
It's like every Saturday.
Okay, fine, but you can't have an event that goes to midnight on Sunday to like 1 a.m. like pay-per-view big fights.
Also,
Dude,
they'll have them in Australia, which could be Friday evening.
Sure, but I mean, they used to have. I don't know when wrestling pay-per-views are anymore, but those always used to be on Sunday. Like WrestleMania used to be Sunday. Like back when before it was 2 nights and 9 hours long.
Now
It'd be
what?
like a
It's
5-hour pay-per-view.
What now after the Masters on Master Sunday?
now I think they've made the pay-per-view Saturdays.
Yeah, well, it's WrestleMania. Yeah, I believe you're right that they moved it to Saturday, but WrestleMania is 2 nights. Saturday and Sunday, I think. Or maybe it's Friday and Saturday. I don't know. I haven't watched WrestleMania in ages.
But like even the Oscars, it's a Sunday night.
And it used to be a
Not
Monday.
Saturday night.
It used to be a Monday, and then it became a Sunday.
But Mondays also, like most people, the week is just beginning. Not many people make plans for Monday night. You're like kind of, oh, the week is starting. It's kind of like you can't wait to get home after work on a Monday.
Sure, but I think that the point remains that the Sunday is there because people are just at home on Sunday nights.
That's right.
Whereas on Saturday and Friday night, you might not get that.
I mean, I'm in favor of moving it back to be a little earlier in the day. It doesn't
Yes.
have it could kick off at 1 Pacific instead of 3:30 Pacific. It could kick off at 5 o'clock Eastern, not 6:30. Like I'm okay with that. You could roll it back an hour
Agreed.
and a half. No one would have a problem
Agreed.
with that.
When did they move it to the evening to begin with? Do you remember?
It would have been
Like, does it work in
mid 90s, late 90s.
Okay, I was gonna say I thought it was like mid 2000s or something like that. I was like,
mid-90s.
did
No,
it,
that's not true. Super Bowl 29 was at night.
I think it started in the daytime, Jeff, and may have gotten to night.
do you think we'll ever get like a London or Munich?
This is why
Super
no.
Bowl?
This is why I think no. Because
But-
they'd have to play that at noon.
Sure. Well, you'd have to play
Eastern
it
time.
in nighttime there, and it would be like 1 Eastern here.
And that makes it a 10 a.m. game in the West.
Yeah.
That's why I think those European games are just off the board for the Super Bowl.
Could you do it in Brazil? Maybe that's why they're going to Brazil.
I do like they're going to Sao Paulo. That's a cool spot to play a game. I don't like that it's on the first week.
Should they do it on the beach? Like that weird outdoor hockey game that was in like Anaheim?
Yeah, there was one on the Las Vegas Strip too a long
we-
time ago.
Are we not talking about the game enough?
Okay, so I have
Who
3
cares?
things. So yeah, well, no, I care because I actually think it's a really intriguing Super Bowl to talk about. So the big 3 that I have written down, and as you mentioned, the first half was terrible, and if you were a new-time fan to the game, it might have been a bit taxing, but it may have been the fastest half of football all season, except for that weird Patriots-Jets game that finished in like 30 minutes. Because it just flew. Like, we looked up when Mahomes got the ball back to end the first half. He had 6 pass attempts. It was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. It flew by. I was actually, my mind is on, the really the underprivileged people in the world. It was on the commercial right buyers. I was like, oh my goodness, they bought all these commercials and they're going to be like, they're not going to get them out in the first half in time. But
On the spot, what was your favorite commercial, Geoff? Or are you looking at your phone? Both of you.
I didn't
I know what
have
it is.
I didn't have them last night.
we had a few.
Yeah.
We had a few.
Oh, I don't even remember. I
You
don't know.
don't remember the Christopher Walken one where everyone was doing their subpar impressions of Christopher Walken?
A lot of the Super Bowl was at you. It
I
felt
did
like-
notice that. There were people dressed up like peacocks in the halftime show.
Yeah,
There was a
Christopher-
Christopher Walken. There was people making fun of pickleball. Nicole Hardman won the Super Bowl. And actually, he won 2 Super Bowls because he won the hypothetical Super Bowl week 1, and then he won the official Super Bowl. 6 months later. What a year for him!
If only the Jets had someone like Mecole Hardman on their team.
I
Maybe they'd be
always
better.
thought Nicole Hardman was going to win the Super Bowl this year. I was right. He had the biggest catch of the game, or the longest catch of the game, the decisive catch of the game. He played great, and he now will be remembered forever and ever.
He'll be remembered in that David Tyree sense.
Yes.
Although I don't actually remember anything else David Tyree ever did in his career.
I don't know that he ever did anything else,
Like,
but it doesn't matter.
Hardman almost actively cost the Chiefs playoff games.
Yeah, but he played great in the Super Bowl, and he caught the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
He'll be with Malcolm Smith and Dexter Jackson, and a name that will just go on forever.
So the 3 plays in the game, because we talked about it in real time.
Yeah.
And I want to be ahead of the curve on this one. I have no idea what the discourse is. I intentionally did not read anything, did not listen to anything about the games. I just made some notes when I went home last night after the game. Like, here's what I want to talk about. Number 1, 2-minute warning at the end of the game. It's 3rd and 5
Yeah.
for the 49ers when they end up kicking the field goal. Every third down, Spagnuolo, like they're not blitzing a ton in this game, but every third down they brought the house, and Purdy didn't know what to do. Shanahan didn't know what to do. And I told you at the time, the move here, because they burned that timeout early in the second half, so they only had 2 timeouts left. What you do on 3rd and 5 from the 39-yard line.
34. It was the 34.
So the 34. You run the ball with McCaffrey.
Yes.
And unless something, like, it can go wrong, obviously, but a pass attempt can go wrong if Brock Purdy gets sacked at the same time, too.
right.
What you do is don't give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. If there's one way to beat this all-out blitz the entire time, it's like a dive play up the middle with McCaffrey, under the impression that he's going to get at least, let's say, 3 yards. And it leaves you in a 4th and 2 situation. And then you're committed to going for it. Because if you get it, and you get the first down, you win the Super Bowl.
I agree.
You
said it then. I agreed with you at the time.
That's
I
how
still
the
do.
game has to work. And if you're going to beat the blitz, you run the ball up the middle. That's the number one thing that you can do to beat the blitz. And you go into it with, you run the ball. And in that situation, Kansas City has to burn one of its timeouts. So even if you don't get it, and you get 2.5 yards, and you decide you're so cowardly that you're going to kick the field goal anyway, well, at least you've drained them out of another timeout. But at least this time, maybe McCaffrey picks up the first down. He'd been running great for the last 5 minutes of the game, and even into overtime, he was running the ball great. You continue the clock moving, force them to use the timeout, and then set yourself up in a situation where you have a 4th and short, which is kind of your whole bag.
Yeah. And then they had the exact
so
same opportunity
obvious.
in overtime, and they made the same mistake twice.
It's so obvious. It's mind-boggling how
Mismanagement.
obvious. It's like, fuck. I wish you just channeled your fucking Dan Campbell. Like everything Pat said there. Like anyone who's got a clue knew exactly that's what they needed to do. It's football 101. Fuck.
I agree.
Listen, you're this team that comes in with a historically good offense. Number 1 in DVOA. Your defense has played great throughout the course of the game. Much better than I think that anyone anticipated going in. Now, I don't know if that's because it was new schemes, different looks, guys were all jazzed up, or the Chiefs' offense just wasn't all that great.
Yeah.
It could be a combination of all those things. But you are an offense that basically picks up 5 yards at will. And they were doing it all game, except for like a lull in the third quarter. But they should have been up 14-0 to start the game.
I agree.
So if you're telling me you have all of your players, they're all healthy, they're all on the field at the same time, and you can't get 2 yards, you don't have confidence for them to get 2 yards to win the Super Bowl, like what are we even doing here? And it's exactly the same thing that happened in overtime. Like why are you giving the ball back to Patrick Mahomes again? What are you doing?
Can't do it. Can't do it. You can't. You guess you had to give it back to him there, but after you score a touchdown.
Yes.
I didn't think there would be a point in that game after the 49ers play calls that caused them to go 3 and out after the Mahomes interception to start the half that I would be angrier at. But then we found overtime and fucking
We didn't like the Andy Reid
guy's
decision
tombstone's
to kick
going
field
to
goal
say
either.
3 10-point leads in a Super Bowl.
Like Andy Reid almost cost his team the game too when he elected to kick with 6 seconds left instead of giving Patrick Mahomes an opportunity to take a shot.
That was weird.
I will defend that in the sense.
You didn't at the time.
I didn't, but just now that I've had time to kind of digest it a little bit, with the overtime rules, knowing that you get the ball, you just kick the can down the road. And you prevent, because remember, what was the Cincinnati game 2 years ago when they just completely fucked it up?
Yeah.
Maybe that was lingering in the back of their minds, and they're like, look, if we just get a full drive, we feel like we have the better defense. We've had them on the ropes a little bit here. And obviously
That dummy will take the ball on a coin flip anyway.
Yeah.
So.
So you have the big decision. I think the biggest mistake of the game was the 2-minute warning one, because
I
San
agree.
Francisco wins the Super. I mean, he could have missed the kick.
I agree.
At the time, but you never give Mahomes a chance to get the ball back at that point. Now, if it fails, you feel like a moron because you've turned the ball
But
over.
at least you go out on your shield.
Yeah, you go out with the best part of your game. I think the Dan Campbell stuff played a lot into it. Just how killed Dan Campbell got, I think it froze Kyle Shanahan.
I don't doubt it. I mean, they were even in the same game, and Shanahan already has a penchant for making poor decisions. in big spots.
It's not poor decisions. It's just the cowardly decision every single time. And it's going to work for him one of these times. And then everyone's going to forget about all this stuff, and it's not going to matter because he is a great coach. Everyone would want Kyle Shanahan as
He's
the
a great
coach.
regular season coach. He's an awful postseason coach.
Is he an awful postseason coach?
He called terrible games against the Packers, a terrible game against the Lions, and got bailed out.
They won these games. He's made it
Yeah.
to 2 Super Bowls and the NFC champion. Like this would be the same criticism that people had of Andy Reid 20 years ago. Exactly.
Andy Reid was making a ton of mistakes he doesn't make anymore.
But
He got better.
But
He also, has the best quarterback that we've ever seen play football. Kind of helps too.
it does help.
It covers up a lot of
But
Andy's
would you say that
blunders.
Andy Reid's a bit like, well, Andy Reid can't win a big game?
Of course
Andy
not.
Reid makes terrible decisions.
No,
He does make
but
terrible
Kyle
decisions.
Shanahan
All
can't win
coaches
a
make
big game.
terrible decisions. All of them do. There's no-
Shanahan just seems to have a tendency to make them at the worst times.
But again, to go back, it's not so much that the Niners are Rory in this weird scenario that you've concocted. Maybe like historically, Geoff, you're right on that. But I think it's just Kyle Shanahan is just Rory from the past 10 years. Rory's been in every single major with a chance to win. He just doesn't win.
and just has had bad strategy at the final moments.
He has.
And cost himself.
But as I've always pointed out with Rory, if he had just missed the cut in all these majors, no one would ever talk about it.
true.
It's just he's had so many opportunities to win and didn't win that he'd be better off just being shitty. Then no one would give him any shit for it. And that's what we're doing with Kyle Shanahan right now. It's a bad look. That was a bad look. The one in overtime. Again, it's another situation where on 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 4, whatever it is, like you need to be committed to going for this and scoring the touchdown and not giving the ball back to Mahomes, which again, that all-out blitz, Purdy didn't know he made the right decision getting rid of the ball. Like, that's all he could really do in that circumstance. You know how you beat it again? Run it with your fucking MVP.
Yeah.
the guy who,
Or
if he
run a
scores a
screen
touchdown,
run a screen
wins the
pass.
MVP of the game because he has 170 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Would have been a great spot for that double pass again. Because you would have had everybody
Christ.
caught again.
It's just, you're right. The run wasn't perfect throughout the night.
But they never
to
did
Pat's
it.
point, on that drive, they were running the ball. They were running
yeah,
it well.
they were.
It's as late in the game. It's as I get it's out of a timeout, but it is as fatigued as the Chiefs D front has been all game. You just move that clock, you get the 2.5, 3 yards, and you live for the moment. Like, I cannot. I'm dumbfounded by all of it still, but fuck, whatever.
It's even more egregious in overtime in a way because even if you don't get the 4th down, the Chiefs are on their own 4-yard line.
And they got to go 65 yards to kick a field goal. Yeah.
Like, at least have some, and obviously they couldn't.
And
do
they
that.
wouldn't be using the 4th downs because they could punt because they didn't have the incentive to have to score. Yeah.
But it's funny that I've become the establish the run guy.
But in that spot, you're paying Christian McCaffrey all that money for that moment.
And it's weirdly probably the best time to run because it's the down that no one expects you to run on, and it sets you up for the 4th down play at
agree.
the same time. Like against that shell defense, no one, the Christian McCaffrey draw on 3rd and 5, like, oh my God.
I would have pitched it outside, got him moving, and I think you would have gotten 4 or 5. That play was working.
I don't think you want to go to the
They're
outside.
They're going to crush.
No, they're
the
not
middle
because they're
going to send a blitz.
Yeah, but they're sending a blitz, but all those guys are coming from
I
off the
think on a
tackle.
pitch you catch him. And McCaffrey's got speed going forwards. He catches the
Yeah,
seam.
but the problem with that, especially maybe in overtime, that may have been the right call to the wide side of the field. In regulation, you don't want to run it outside because you then run the risk of losing yards.
Yeah.
If you run it up the middle, like the max you're going to lose is a yard.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you can still kick the field goal in that circumstance.
I was happy with the result. The right team won, and the team that did the most stupid things lost.
It felt like watching the game, it felt like San Francisco was the better team.
Yeah, but they did it to themselves.
I agree. I'm not saying Kansas City didn't
Lions
deserve
game.
to win.
It didn't feel like the Lions game, where I felt like the Lions really lost that game.
So-
San Francisco didn't win it. This one, I feel like the Chiefs had 2 spots where Mahomes had to march and had to score, and he did it.
Yeah,
And
he's
he knocked
fucking
him out.
Brady, man. Like if you give him 2 minutes, he's going to get you the amount of points that you need to accomplish whatever it is you need to accomplish.
And it's tough. If my team were in his division, I would be looking long and hard at probably not hosting a playoff game for till I'm basically retired.
So I do want to talk about overtime because that's the 3rd decision here. And in the moment, it felt like, yes, you want to be the team playing defense first.
Do you think he knew the rule change?
Well, according to, I just read a report, who was it with?
Because you didn't know. And a lot of people didn't know, obviously.
Well, no,
Someone said
Paul
the
didn't
Chiefs. The Chiefs
Paul
been
didn't
talking
know.
about
You
it
didn't
since
know.
training camp. I saw that
Didn't know what?
report this morning.
There was this brand new playoff rule.
Well, I didn't realize it was just a new game. I knew both teams had a chance to score.
So
I know a
I wonder
touchdown
if he
didn't
knew
end
it.
it.
If he knew what the rule was.
The Chiefs said, yes, Paul.
I was just reading a little report, and it was from some interviews with some players from the 49ers who didn't know.
But
They don't need to know.
the Chiefs.
Shanahan needs to
Well,
know.
they probably should know.
No, but they
Apparently,
don't
the
need to
Chiefs,
know.
the Chiefs had always intended to give the ball to their opponent, whether they won or lost.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked out in their favor.
Shanahan
The
needs
Chiefs
to know that.
apparently spoke
They've
about it
rehearsed
in
the
training
exact
camp.
scenario.
The Chiefs spoke about it in training camp that they will give the ball in the Super Bowl overtime and that they will go for 2.
Maybe when the
like
ref asked,
apparently there's some.
Yeah,
do you
this
have
is-
any questions?
Yeah,
You should have asked some questions.
That was the number one thing that just I really wish that who was it? Fred Warner
Yeah.
was out
Do
there.
you have any questions? Yes, actually.
Yeah,
Could you
if he
explain
had
this
just
again?
pulled a list of a paper out of his,
Yeah, I got a
out of
couple.
his tights, just like, oh, I have a lot of questions actually. Well, it would have been good because it would have given their defense time to like
Take a breath.
yeah, take a breath. So the Chiefs overtime plan, this from the Ringer, worked out exactly how they had hoped, and it wasn't just by accident. Kansas City safety Justin Reed told the Ringer that the Chiefs had first discussed the new overtime rules as far back as training camp. Defensive lineman Chris Jones told me the players were prepared for what to expect if the Super Bowl went to overtime. We talked this through for 2 weeks, Jones said, how we was going to give the ball Chris Jones to the opponent if they scored. We was going to go for 2 at the end of the game. We rehearsed it.
I believe that too.
So they were more prepared for the situation. I don't know if it's the right answer, though, because you can think about this one of 2 ways, I think. One, you get the ball first, and then you get to dictate the pace. And you get to give your defense a little bit of a break and scheme up what's going to go on. Now, if you defer and you get the ball second, you know exactly what you have to do, which is a huge advantage. However, if you're unable to accomplish that, we're back to sudden death, and the team that got the ball first gets the ball again.
Yeah.
So you do have that, like you have.
I want the ability to know I have 4 downs to play with. All the advantages come to me if I get the ball second.
Except for if you don't get it, then the other team.
Isn't it
Well,
like
if I don't
the
get it, then I lose.
college over?
A little
Pardon
bit,
my
a little
ignorance.
bit, Jeff. A little bit. I mentioned this when
Like,
we
don't you use
yeah.
the same strategy as college? Where
You
like,
always want it
get
second.
first,
No, yeah,
I
but-
get it second.
Yeah, but you always get it back in college. Like on the third, like if you score a touchdown and
Oh,
I
yes,
score a
yes.
touchdown, then that's great and everything.
But
Then San
under the-
Francisco, but then San Francisco gets the ball back. If they score a field goal, they win the game.
Yeah.
Right? That's how it
Okay,
works.
But I
so
get
the
to play- I get to
negative
play
of
with
it
4
is
downs. You only
field
get to play with
goal,
3.
field goal.
yeah,
The
yeah.
negative of it is field goal, because the Chiefs know they're never going to 2 touchdown triple overtime because they're going for 2.
But it's field goal, great. Then you just kick off, and there's no advantage gained. You just have to make a stop at that point.
Sure, but you get the opportunity to end the game at that point.
Yeah, you do. I still
So
think
It's not as black and white as some people are making it.
I agree with Jeff. I don't think it is as black and white because you're thinking about contingencies down the line. Now, if you kick the field goal and then you give it to Patrick Mahomes, you're like, oh, we're fucked. He's going to score a touchdown.
yeah, I just think you want to have the ball second.
I think that's the prevailing. Like, I don't know which is the right answer.
You'll have to ask Gigabyte what his system says.
Yeah, is Rob one of those guys, Jeff, that wouldn't make a pick?
No.
He
Rob will make a pick.
That
Rob
game
made a
nearly
pick.
went.
Rob will
That
make
game
a
nearly
pick.
went into double overtime. No wonder they couldn't pick between the 2 teams, Jeff.
That's fair.
Because it was an impossible decision to pick. It went to nearly double OT. How could someone
Listen.
make a pick?
People think I'm a bad man because I didn't want to drive 2.5 fucking hours to watch Easton Stick and Giff Smith.
Smith. I
These
forgot about
people,
that guy.
some of these people wouldn't even give their nephew a side in their like 30 pick prop pool with their friends in grade 5 because they don't. I don't know how. I watch football all year. I don't know how to pick the game though. Like, you can preface it by saying, I'm not betting a side. I'm not. Side's too hard to call. But this is my lane. For your prop pool, this is what I got. Like, it's so fucking pathetic.
I tend to agree with Jeff.
You should make a pick. I agree.
But especially if you're someone who's like, and a lot of this is like people selling their picks and selling their model. And all Jeff is right. All you have to do is preface it by saying, like, listen, I don't have a lot of money on a side here because by my numbers, like, it's not a bettable side. But like, I'm gonna pick. I think Kansas City's gonna win.
Yeah. I think it's
Like,
right.
why is that so hard?
You can say, I'm not betting this game. I have no edge. There's no bet for me here. But if you're asking me who I think is going to win, I like the 49ers
Yeah.
or I like the Chiefs.
That's it. That's
agree
it.
with Jeff.
You're fucking on Radio Row Super Bowl. Like, you're trying to, like, fuck. You think when you shit, it smells like a rose? Fuck off. No one is holding you. No one is coming back. Like, oh my God, you gave the wrong side in the Pick'em Super Bowl that went to overtime. How did I, like, no, exactly. You preface it And it's it. It'll be like 5-star Super Bowl side smash. Fuck off too. But on both sides. Honestly, some of it's embarrassing. And what's more embarrassing than the people saying it, we're the fucking losers asking the questions and glad handing these fucking guys. You literally, like, you start grinding gears at that point.
Well, there's a reason that the Pat Mayo Experience is no longer on Radio Row, Geoff.
No, what do you mean? You get on Radio Row anytime. The people that run Radio Row, fine, you got no beef with NFL comms. But, like, if I saw those fucking guys from Vision, be like, why do you suck that guy's dick? Like, I get it. You're great at your arbitrage. You're great at, like what you're good at is good. Congratulations. It matters to 0.0001% of the bettors. Okay, congratulations. You had, like, no roughing the passer, Nick Bosa, for minus, like, 9,000. I think it hit. Congrats, man. Congrats. But, like, honestly, some of these, and it's a collection. You guys can think I'm talking about one, but that was a collab of about 5 or 6 different people morphed into one. So there was like an element of like 5 or 6 different people in that. But honestly, yeah. Don't just say I'm not. Yeah, don't even do the fucking interview if you can't pick a side in a pick'em Super Bowl. Beta fuck. Like, you have that lit. Like, I get it. Like, you're a nerd. You don't have an ego. But, like, grow one then. Fucking grow one. For 4 seconds and be like, I like Mahomes. I'm not against Mahomes Juju. That's it.
I went against
And
Mahomes
TED
Juju.
Talk.
I lost.
Also, by the way, unrelated, I absolutely am starting to love the Brittany Mahomes face turn. Face turn. Face turn. There was a video from the weekend. I know Pat wouldn't give a shit, but she got inside like an ultra VIP club area, and little Jackson.
I saw
couldn't
this.
get in,
I saw this.
and he was trying like Brittany, get me in, and she literally you're like, I don't give a fuck, buddy. Like, my night is here. You fend for yourself. Like, in terms of wrestling, I love, to me, that's enough for like a Britney face turn. So good for her. Good for the Mahomes. Lovely people.
Better
It's my job for never again, but I don't think I'm up to the task.
Better
Like,
job
let's be
first
honest.
time hosting the sport's most prestigious event in the area. The Vegas Super Bowl in Vegas or Oakdale hosting the Canadian Open? Who had a bigger first time hosting the big event? Jeff?
I don't even know how to quantify.
Yeah, what are
I
you
thought
talking
they were
about?
both great successes.
I thought Vegas I think Vegas cemented itself as a routine Super Bowl spot.
Yeah,
this
well,
week.
it would have had
With
to go
all
horrible.
the stories
It would
that
have
went
had to
on.
be-
The field was
Okay.
great. The atmosphere looked really good in there. It felt
The
like a
only
Super
way
Bowl.
for Vegas to not go back, for it not to be cemented, would have needed to be like a Pac-Man Jones incident. Like, that would have been the only way. But it seems like the whole league
Yeah.
was on its best behavior. They're lucky the NBA is in season, so they can't come to town and run amok, right? And cause some incidents. But yeah, it's undoubted. They'll
I heard
be
no
back.
complaints. No one complained
No,
about
the
the
only
arena or the
complaints-
stadium or the events.
There was a
or
lot
anything.
of traffic, but like
Well,
that,
that's the
if the
Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl's in Miami and you're trying to get to an event, I'm sure you're sitting in so much traffic.
I think the
like,
league was
whatever,
holding its
traffic.
breath a little bit, holding the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Like, they wanted to do it, but like there's so many things that could go wrong, and like everything went off without a hitch. And so like
And it's convenient for everyone to go to. Like, we've talked about golf tournaments at different places over the years. And even when we talked about what would be the best Super Bowl locations,
Yeah.
that a lot of these places, like having it in a downtown area where it's accessible to people by walking, which this one was, like you can just kind of filter out and go back to the strip if you want to, but there's appropriate accommodations. There are things to do in Vegas for everyone. Like, it's
Yeah.
not just like, oh, it's Super Bowl weekend. Like, I don't know if Siegfried and Roy are still alive, but they're not.
I don't believe either are alive now.
And you go see Celine Dion.
But it's like, you go to Miami or New Orleans, they know how to host a Super Bowl. They've done it so many times. There's people on the ground there who have all the institutional knowledge of how to run a Super Bowl in that city.
But there's the
No one in
institutional
Vegas-
knowledge for a big event.
But nothing,
Like, Vegas
nothing
has,
on that par. That, like, anything Vegas has had, and they've had huge stuff, is dwarfed by the Super Bowl. So, like, you don't have the people even on the ground who really know how to run a Super Bowl. That's why I mentioned Oakdale. You've never had any event even approximating the biggest PGA Tour event in Canada.
But like,
And yet
okay,
everything goes
you are
off
literally
without a
being
hitch.
a little silly at the moment
No, I mean
because
it.
what happens is the NFL comes in and they like run it. Like the Golf Canada comes into Oakdale and like they run the event. Like it's not like our people like running
you
the event.
depend
Yeah,
on
we have like
your
board
local
members.
people for a lot of stuff.
Sure, you depend on volunteers and
For
things
all
like
kinds
that.
of
But in
things.
terms of the Canadian Open at Oakdale, like it's kind of contained to Oakdale. It's not like we
And
need
you
to
wanna
set
know
up
something,
this
Kim?
event
We
across
literally,
town
like-
and transportation here, and we need to do a week's
But
worth
you know,
of
you
stuff.
have people say, oh, we make sure we can't put teams in this university for their practices because we know that doesn't work. We know we have to put them in here because we know that works. Like, there's all these little tiny, like,
Yeah,
the
but
devil
it's
is in
not
the
like
details.
Vegas has a ton of options for where teams are going to practice either, though.
I don't know.
Didn't the Niners get some shit field at UNLV?
Yeah, listen, the Niners got the shit field. The Niners had like middle of the night fire alarms.
They did,
The
yeah.
Niners were pretty much talking like they were Rocky and Rocky 4, like in their training. Like they were given the worst of it. I mean, that was an early in the week joke. But it went off. I spoke to guys who there's a bit of a Radio Row was seamless, bit of a walk. Media members in the Excalibur, but to some of our friends, that's like big living.
To some people who appear on this show, that's big living.
Too big a living.
Maybe, yes, maybe.
Not the type of living they want.
No, as
And
someone,
then I'm not kidding, guys. Like we can't talk about the Super Bowl every year without bringing it up. I literally get like I get emotional, literally emotional when I see Morency on with McCaffrey.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's great.
I believe,
Like, I don't know
Geoff,
how you
I
would-
believe it's pronounced McAfee, not McAfee.
McAfee. Sorry, I don't care.
McAfee's
I get,
cold.
and then I was almost mad that Dan Patrick was stealing some of Gabe's minutes this year. And I know that's incredible to be on a stage with DP, who I love, and Pat, but I don't know. Like, I don't want to say it's like watching a child because if anything, I look up, not look up, like Gabe is older than me. And
Gabe's like your older brother or your crazy
yeah,
uncle.
it's
one of
like
the two.
seeing your uncle or something. Like I don't know. I get so like emotional. Like I was so happy. My eyes start watering in happiness when that's happening.
There's very few things when I go through my Twitter timeline and I'm scrolling that genuinely make me happy. That did genuinely
that's
make
great.
me happy.
That's great.
Because Gabe was, I mean, he really upgraded Pat M shows for the course of his career. Being on my show and then really getting the upgrade.
Exactly.
And he had his whole entrance. Like, it's a real thing. Every single Radio Row. It's awesome. I'm so happy for him.
And we've spoken about it in like some pre-week correspondence. Like, because I told him people might think it's corny. I love how he goes every year, and as a memento, he walks onto that stage after buying like one of these gaudy, expensive Super Bowl jackets at a souvenir stand. But to me, I'm like, I love that you have all of these jackets. They're in your closet. They're like a memory. Gabe doesn't have. He pulls out those jackets and like it takes him back to that moment, that great moment of walking on that stage with Pat and like having that. So I love his little tradition of going to of buying these like crazy Super Bowl jackets and these color schemes that like who wants to wear in public.
I bought a coffee mug from the Super Bowl we covered, and I still use it. And I have very fond memories every time I use it of the time we went to the Super Bowl. So I get it.
I really don't remember anything from the Super Bowl that we went to, except for playing on that golf simulator in the Minnesota airport.
That was when we were leaving.
Yes, maybe that's the last thing that stuck in my head. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough.
Every lounge in every airport should have a golf simulator.
I agree with that, by the way, very strongly.
Are Kansas City fans, because I don't feel this way, but I did find it striking this week. Because I picked San Francisco. I mean, I believe the show was split. Me and Geoff and Cam took San Francisco. You and Pizzola took Kansas City. So it was pretty much split, just like everyone else was. But Kansas City fans were like very defensive about anyone not picking Kansas City. Like they had, like,
because they live in a bubble where no one ever picks against them ever, and so when people are picking against them, they're like, "Well, how can this be?"
But just like,
No one picks against
It's
us.
a coin flip game. Like, it's probably like 53-45 or 47, whatever it might be. Like, just because I'm picking San Francisco, it's not like Kansas City has no chance of winning this game.
I think the spread was wrong. I said it from the start. I stand by it, that the Chiefs should have been a slight favorite, not the 49ers.
I mean, the 49ers had every chance to win the game.
Yeah, but
I mean, what if they make that extra point?
Then the Chiefs score a touchdown at the end of the game and win.
Do they?
I think so. Mahomes is not going to be denied down there. They win the game in regulation.
Okay.
So actually, I don't think it made a big difference. It just determined the score differently, but not the winner.
I guess, their decision making ends up being a little bit different. It
Yeah.
did. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, although it did lead to overtime, which led to more points, the under hit by a half point, and because of that, I had the Brock Purdy under rushing yards, so I'm very happy at 12 and a half.
Knee, yeah.
He took the knee to go from 13 to 12 at the end of regulation to drop it below.
I had a buddy complaining about that.
I was on that was one of the few bets that I actually hit.
You don't get to complain when you bet a quarterback's rushing totals if it's off by yards because
that's
of the
part
knee.
of it.
Because
I told you about what
Yeah.
when I was looking at it in like the beginning of the third quarter. It's like I need Purdy not to rush anymore in San Francisco to win this game, so we can take a knee at the
that's
end.
not a bad beat.
Complain
Everybody
is the
knows
wrong
this
word.
happens.
No, the Mahomes one.
That's
from that
different.
Super
He
Bowl
was taking
a
it
bad
from a
beat.
shotgun. That's different.
And he ended up losing like 10 yards.
If you lose, you need a minimum a 3-yard buffer because you need the 3 knees to be prepared for. If you don't have a 3-yard buffer, it is not a bad beat if they take 3 knees and you lose. I'm sorry.
I completely agree.
I agree, but in the context of the Purdy, like my buddy gambled. It's not like he didn't like complain, but like when it registers, you're like, oh my god,
it sucks.
Yeah,
it's shitty.
like at the end of the night. Yeah. That's all.
But if that is a bet that you make, you should be aware that this can happen to you.
Was this a bad weekend for Vegas? Because every teaser won, every parlay won.
So I thought that, and it turns out this was completely wrong because they said the guy at MGM said it was actually the worst case scenario. I assumed it was the best case scenario, Geoff, if San Francisco won by a point, because I was under the assumption that everyone who bet San Francisco bet the -2, but mainly the people who bet Kansas City just bet Kansas City money line. But I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, this couldn't have been good.
I would agree. I haven't seen things. I assume the Chiefs win. It's a bath. Like my mother-in-law literally asked me to bet on Taylor's boyfriend. Okay, like that is.
I want to know. Do you think that Travis Kelce's good enough for her now, Geoff? If you remember earlier in the year, you said he most certainly was not, and you made it a very
I
emphatic
changed
case.
that a long time ago. That's fine. They're a lovely couple. I got no beef.
I want to go back to
But
Kansas.
I don't know. I mean, listen, she's she is very special. So that's all.
I want to go back to
If she's
Kansas
happy,
City
good
fans
for her.
for a second.
Sure.
Are they in? Because I don't feel like they're in danger of becoming annoying Patriots fans, and maybe it's because I know
they are.
No, it's because I'm not around them.
Maybe that's what it is. That we know so many Patriots fans, just being relative,
Yes, exactly.
just being where we are. Just the Patriots,
And also people in Massachusetts and Boston are just more obnoxious about their sports fandom to begin with. Red Sox fans, Celtics fans, Bruins fans, Patriots fans. They are all cut from the same cloth.
well, they're all
right?
the same people.
Exactly. And they're all that type of like hard scrabble. I've been hard done by New England people. We're the best at everything, et cetera, et cetera. It seems like people are more laid back in the Midwest than in New England.
I do think that there is something to it as well, because like who is the most of those teams? Because it's weird that Brady became like somewhat likable now.
Oh, yeah. He's very likable now.
He was in 2 Super Bowl commercials. It was nice. But like the entire dynasty of the Patriots, like you hated the Patriots. Maybe your answer is no one. I
still do.
But like, did you ever really hate Gronk?
I didn't hate
He's a hard guy to hate.
I
Like,
didn't
he's a
hate Gronk.
lovable
I
character.
didn't like him. I never hated him. I always liked James White. I always liked Wes Welker. I always liked Randy Moss. Like there were guys on those. I always loved. The
Aaron Hernandez.
no, the superstar defensive.
Your guy.
The superstar defensive tackle they had.
Richard Seymour?
Richard Seymour. I always thought he was fantastic. I just despised Brady. Despised Belichick. I hated when McDaniel was there. I despised Edelman. Those were the guys that just got under my skin that I couldn't stand.
So I kind of see the Chiefs less like the Patriots and more like the Warriors. Because Mahomes is everyone kind of likes Mahomes.
Like the Cowboys in the 90s. Like, no one disliked Emmitt Smith. No one
people
disliked.
hate the fucking Cowboys.
No, but they never
man.
disliked the players. They may have disliked the team. They never said no.
That's not true,
Yeah, people hate
man.
Michael Irvin, man.
Dude,
You don't think
so.
you
They
guys
did.
think the
They did hate Michael.
flamboyance of that team?
If you were an Eagles
people
fan
didn't hate
or a
versus the
Giants fan.
upstanding. Hold on, people were coming off like the class. I'm not comparing, and maybe I'm missing stories, but I'm telling you, and I was a baby, so I don't know for a fact. But people revered those 49er teams, Joe Montana, like it was very wholesome. And then those Cowboy teams with the White House fucking shaking and jiving and just running amok on everything and everybody. Like, you think people like Jimmy Johnson and his swagger like they respected Bill Walsh? No. People must have hated those Cowboys. They must have hated them. Hated them.
Mahomes is like Curry.
Yeah.
People just like
Maybe,
them.
yeah, fair.
Yeah.
And so
I
like,
hate him.
and listen,
I
like,
hate him.
and people like actively hate Draymond, but they like Curry so much that they're not mad about the Warriors winning titles because Curry is just like weird.
But it would be like
one-off.
if the Warriors took Klay Thompson after 1 year and traded him away and then won a bunch more championships. Because they got rid of Tyreek, who was their best offensive player.
Well,
who's
well,
the best
that's not
who's
true.
still the best receiver in football. outside of
Their
Mahomes.
best offensive player is Patrick
Their
Mahomes.
best skill position player, sorry, outside of Mahomes.
But they
like,
also had Kelsey too, and
Kelsey-
Kelsey has proven that.
no one would say Kelsey's the best player in the best position player in the NFL. Where some people said for much of this year, including me, that Hill had a case for MVP.
Oh, sure. And especially at this point in time where Kelsey is getting a bit like he's close to retirement at this point. He's not the same as he
No.
used to be. But I think that maybe because his celebrity has become so high that you forget that like when it's all written down, like he's at least a top 3 tight end ever.
Which means he won't get into the Hall of Fame for at least 3 years.
We're
after his
getting to that.
eligibility.
We're getting to that. We're getting to that in a little bit. That's for the second part of the show.
Okay.
But I don't know, just the Mahomes' likability
Yeah, it's very high.
is very high. Like it's just his Q rating is
Well,
super.
honestly, it's not really high. I don't think people love Mahomes. They just no one's against Mahomes. They're like, Patrick Mahomes.
but-
He's great. You don't see a lot of people in non-NFL's like non-Kansas. You don't see a lot of people walking around with Mahomes jerseys.
No, but I mean,
because he's not like beloved. He just like everyone's like, hey, he's cool. He's the best ever. Great.
But that's a football thing in general. We were
Whereas
discussing
like
that last night. where
Love Stephen Curry.
yeah, but NBA players are legitimate celebrities.
Yeah.
NFL players aren't in
Yeah.
that same way. But sort of akin to Curry, like watching people would show up like an hour and a half early to Warriors like cheer
Yeah.
around so they could watch Steph Curry shoot threes because it's just like I can't believe this guy can do this. Mahomes is like that for
Similar.
football.
He's not beloved, but people just have nothing
No,
against
but
him.
he's not beloved as a personality. He is beloved as a player by
Oh,
everybody.
sure. No-
Because people watching, they're like, "How is he doing this?"
Oh, sure. That's fair enough.
So they always
He's
have
also
that.
got a
out.
lovely personality. He's got a
Oh,
lovely
he's a nice guy. I
personality.
get nothing to say against
Hello,
him.
I'm Patrick the Mahomes. I can't do a good Kermit.
No. What about Miss Piggy?
Hi-ya! That I can do. You can put me in the Miss Piggy commercial if we're gonna do. So, Geoff, I think it's time. The biggest thing that we had to do on this show today is the Super Bowl recap is present the real Super Bowl present, right?
Yes. So this is big. This is a present from Tim.
It's not
This is from
Tim.
my-
It's not from Tim. It's to Tim.
No, this is a present for Tim. This is from Tony, who has been a great supporter of my campaign. Speaking of which, Asa Hutchinson, like, get off the stage, buddy.
It's more like
You
Nikki.
may as
It's
well
more
go
like Nikki.
home.
I'm more like Nikki Haley. I'm.
You're more like Chris Christie. We're wondering what you were still doing here.
Look, the voters deserve a vote. And even though you took great steps forward this week, and I tip my cap to you, and I congratulate you on your fantastic win in the New Hampshire primary this weekend with that win. That doesn't mean we're just going to close up shop. The voters deserve a vote.
You would do
but if you've
wonders
noticed,
for-
if you've noticed, I've laid off the last couple of days to allow you to bask in your glory because you deserve it. Because you absolutely hit a grand slam, and I am, of course, very knowledgeable of that. That doesn't change.
What you're knowledgeable about is the political strategy to duck and cover. Because people were messaging me like Tim's literally gone into hiding.
It was an
Tim
October
has
surprise.
not shown himself
And I
this
had-
weekend.
We have had to retool. That was an October surprise that we didn't expect. But the best campaigns know how to take a punch and roll with it. But the first thing you have to admit is it was a legitimate hit for you. And I congratulate you on it.
Yeah, you
fulsomely.
suffered worse damage than a James Comey press conference.
Yeah, Yes, that's exactly what this was. And, she still did win the popular vote, according to her and most people. So
Are you disputing the results of the election,
no,
Jim?
I am not. I'm just saying that the Trumpers all thought he still won the popular vote.
So
I'm
this
just saying
is a-
I'm going to
this is a-
continue to run the race. We're not giving up, but I'm not going to pretend like that wasn't a fantastic win for you and a real obstacle for me to overcome.
Well,
'Cause it is.
This is something we're talking about in the second part of this show. You have to open your gift.
I'm very excited for this. I like.
Okay,
these
so
presents.
this is from Tony, who's an avid listener, viewer of all of our content, and he needed to support you, Tim.
It's a Super Bowl trophy. And a Super
Why don't
Bowl.
you take the thing out of the way?
I'm
Take
sorry.
the other thing out of the box.
Oh, okay, there's a Super Bowl ring here. Or what else is in the box?
How are you bad at opening gifts?
I'm not good. What else we got here? Ah! Something else in here. Is
That's it.
that it? Felt like there's something else sticking around in here. There is.
You're so bad at this. You're
Stop
like
it.
ruining it.
Stop it.
I don't think there's anything else in there, dude.
Yes, there is. There's something.
His soft hands can't break
Oh,
the tape.
it's just a screw. Oh, it's a hypothetical Lombardi, a hypothetical Super Bowl champions ring, and
A picture of Aaron Rodgers winning the Super Bowl
winning the
with the New York
hypothetical
Jets.
Super Bowl with the Jet. That's so awesome. I love it.
I like that you're being trolled, but you really enjoy it.
No, I do. Well, I don't care. Thank you. If you don't think this is very meaningful to me, you're wrong. I love this because we did win a hypothetical championship opening night when the third or fourth best quarterback in the NFL all time gets injured. 4 plays in, and we still managed to win that game and win 7 games. And I also kind of won a Super Bowl last night. 3 seconds after the game ended, Woody announced we're changing the uniforms. We're doing a reboot. I think we're going to go back to more of the classic look.
Don't talk into the.
that was-
What are you,
I
Cam?
know,
You're talking
I
into
know.
the fucking
Can you show the
TV?
ring? Can you show off your big jewelry?
No, we'll have a close up of this so people can really get a good look of it.
This is so good.
Are you gonna wear that?
You know what? This is now becoming I'm wearing this
Cust walking around looking like fucking Liberace.
I'm wearing this now every Sunday night when it's a victory.
the hat?
This is going with the hat.
Did you put the hat on?
Yeah.
You probably don't want to get up.
No.
Yeah, with your earpiece and everything. That's probably not. We don't need the hat, Paul. It's okay.
He needs, for his hypothetical Super Bowl, he needs a hypothetical victory hat.
I do.
Do
I'm
you like
very
your
excited.
little Lombardi?
I do like my little Lombardi. We earned that.
Vote for Tim.
I love it. I love it. This is so great.
Is Mecole Hardman the MVP of both Super Bowls?
He didn't do anything in that first game, I don't think. you want the camera, Paul?
Jesus Christ. You do look like that plain 60 kid from the Super Bowl who just came out and waved.
I love it. I love this ring. I love the plaque. I love the mini Lombardi. I am wearing this ring every single victory night from now on Sundays. I love it. This is
Are
great.
you not embarrassed?
No, not at all. This is great.
This may have backfired on you, Geoff.
This is a lot of fun. Are you kidding me?
Backfired. I think this has done more for me than the weekend in terms of how insane he's portraying himself.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I love it. And what was the name
You
of the
should
person
wear that
again
when
who
you
gave it
wear
to me?
your medal. When you wear your marathon medal, you should wear the ring on that day too.
I might. What's the name of the fellow who gave this again?
Tony.
Thank you,
Tony.
Tony. You're great.
Yeah, shout out to Tony. When I was out in San Diego, he gave me this stuff. We played Aviera Golf Club. It was a lovely afternoon.
Too
and,
busy to play Torrey Pines, were you?
You know, had I had a more of a Aviera is lovely. They play the LPGA there.
Oh, it even says hypothetical on it. That is so awesome.
There
love
was
it.
also a letter from like Darren Rovell congratulating you on Wyndham Clark, but that kind of in transportation that didn't survive. But the big things, what mattered is gotten into your hands, Tim.
Thank you,
and
Jeffrey.
So everyone
And Tony. Thank you.
everyone involved in getting it to you is probably really happy right now.
Room to the Super Bowl next year. No, I actually had a dream the other night of who's going to be in next year's Super Bowl, and the Jets weren't in it.
They weren't. Who was?
I had a dream that the Ravens and Cowboys were in the Super Bowl next year.
Oh, so stop looking into the TV.
I can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm very excited right now.
Of other note, I talked to Cabby on the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Cabby, local or not local, but Canadian celebrity, Cabby Richards, gave you a special shout out when I was on the line with him because we were talking about golf content. He's like, "Yeah, your buddy Tim picked Wyndham Clark," and I'm like, "I bet on Wyndham Clark and won like $3,000."
How about that? It's like that time that guy bet his rent money on the Oilers Maple Leafs opening day parlay that I gave out as free money.
And it won.
And it won. Well, I was glad that somebody was able to make some money off of Wyndham Clark.
Okay. Reminder to people out there, I'm doing a Mayo movie club probably next Friday. Probably going to be the lowest rated show in the
No one ever invited me to a movie club.
No, I have not. But you can. That's the whole thing. I'm inviting everyone to the movie club. You can watch the movie, and then there's a show on it discussing it afterwards. You just want to come to my house and watch the movie? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, like when George had to go to Jerry's to watch Home Alone.
So the movie is Southland Tales. It is not.
I like that movie.
Some people will say it is not a very great movie.
It's not a good movie.
Looking at the Letterboxd reviews for it, so most Letterboxd reviews for a movie all kind of like have a bell curve. There is no bell curve with Southland Tales. It has an equal amount of 1-star and 5-star and 2-star and 4-star and 3-star reviews. It's such an anomaly in that way. It's a really terrible movie by some people. I think it's a fantastic movie. It is someone taking the most gigantic home run cut at a baseball of all time and missing. I'm not going to claim like it's a great movie, but it is a fascinating watch. If you like to smoke weed, you should probably smoke weed before you do it. It has The Rock. It has Stifler. It has the entire cast of SNL and Mad TV from the 90s. Buffy, Mandy Moore. John Larroquette is in it.
Artie Lang.
Artie Lang is not in it. Will Sasso is in it.
Okay.
And so is Sherry O'Terry and John Lovitz.
Acting.
It's a crazy movie, but you can like rent it for like $2 on Amazon or something like that. We're going to have a show on it in 2 weeks. I just want to make sure that people knew that, for the few of you who will actually do this, that it's out there and you can do it. You can go back and watch the old gambling movie club that I did with Davis and Pete as well. We did Owning Mahoney, which, Geoff, is the most realistic portrayal of gambling addiction ever in a movie.
Yeah, that's a creepy movie. I watched that. Cam had me watch that movie like 12, 15 years ago. That rocked me.
Cam is big on that movie. I mean, any movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman is like very good to begin with, and this one's just fantastic. Like when you're such a problem gambler, you don't even go to Vegas; you go to Atlantic City. Ugh. I've been to Atlantic City, man. It is the worst place on earth.
I have not, but I can only imagine.
Horrible place. But that does bring us to the midway point of the show, which means it's time for a mini version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
Got anything?
I've been doing a lot of this. I discovered that my Roku TV has these channels on it that are like TV channels of old. I have been watching so many old episodes of The Price is Right from the 1980s recently. It has been such a delight to watch these episodes. Bob Barker is great, and the prizes are all terrible. You wouldn't want any of these things, and yet people are extremely excited for them. And like, I love when the wheel doesn't get all the way around and all the crowd boos the person who can't spin the wheel all the way around. It has been an absolute delight. There's like 500 of these channels, and I've barely scratched the surface of all the various fun things that are on there.
What are your top? Do you ever watch Morency? He's on Roku.
I haven't seen that yet. No.
Hey, Morency and Cam. I think the Sports Grid channel is on Roku.
It could be. There's hundreds. I've only been through. I feel like I've just scratched the surface.
So what
I've been watching old Tonight shows with Johnny Carson. Those have been so funny.
Are you any better at Price is Right from 1980 than you are now?
You know what? It's funny. I am now only because I've watched so many episodes that I can tell you that baking rack is going to be $1,400 that they're bidding on.
$1,400.
Oh, these are like the big wire, massive baking racks. Or, like I can tell you that can of noodles is 49 cents. But it's funny how there will be people who will go on there. And because it's a different age, like an older fellow will go up on stage. And so this is 1984, so he
lived through the Depression.
So he probably hasn't set foot in a grocery store in his life. It's like, how much is this, can of spaghetti sauce? 10 cents. Just like, you don't do the shopping at home, do you?
It'd be like if my grandfather was on The Price is Right.
It's just such a delight to watch all these old game shows and all these old talk shows. It's just marvelous. It's better than 80% of what's on live TV these days.
You think it's better than NCIS Sydney?
I'm sure that it has to be.
What about Loco Lottery?
I didn't get a chance to watch that. It got canceled on me.
You still have it on your DVD.
Yeah, but what's the point now? I'm almost holding on to it like a memorabilia thing. Like, I bet you I'm like one of two people on Earth that have a Loco Lotteria episode saved on his PVR.
That's your Cust Corner? That you watch Roku TV and watch shows from the 80s?
I've just been really enjoying it, and I didn't realize that this was a function I've had of TV for almost 3 years.
How did you stumble into that?
Many ways. I was reading about it. I heard about it. I saw somebody watching old stuff. It's like, maybe I have this functionality, and I do.
Geoff, do you ever watch Roku TV?
No, but I can't kind of know what he's talking about because I have a bunch of Samsung
I heard
TVs
they have the
in
same
my
thing.
house.
Yeah. I heard there's Samsung TV too, and it's very similar.
And there's almost 100 channels, and it's like a 21 Jump Street replays all day long, a Baywatch channel, just this classic shows that just run on repeat all day long. It's a weird thing. Sometimes when I'm switching over to an app to watch a Netflix or load up my Sunday ticket, I get caught in a rabbit hole for a little bit.
I agreed. It's a lot of fun. I don't know how they make money off of these things because there's no commercials, but I love it.
Pluto TV kind of works the same way because I remember when we were at Fantasy, we gave Pluto TV our API feed, and they created a channel for us on Pluto TV, and that was one of the only ways that company made any money was these checks we'd get from Pluto TV. So it must be something on it. I don't know what I honestly don't know how they make it.
I don't know either, but it's delightful, and I encourage you if you're bored, go back and that's when TV was really good. That's when the people who made TV shows cared about delivering funny, interesting material. It's great. It's just great. Makes me really happy.
Okay. That's a short one.
It's been 24 straight weeks.
Yeah, you're running
How
thin
many
here?
things can I really... there are things that annoy me on a daily basis, but
bumper stickers have been annoying me.
I don't like bumper stickers.
I don't like bumper stickers either, but
To me, it's a very American thing.
Well, the people around here seem like crazy people who have bumper
The
stickers.
few people that do, by and large, yeah.
And they're all terrible drivers. All of them. If you need to put on a thing, don't tailgate me, chances are you're a real shit driver.
Or see ya at the next red light. I love that sticker.
Paul, yes. Paul's been throwing his hand up here.
I have a question for Tim, actually. Something that I was curious about, because he never really gave us the follow-up. But when he was out of town getting the McRib, he said that the hotel that he was at had soap in a dispenser on the wall. And I was wondering how you procured some soap and shampoo for yourself. Did you go and get water bottles?
No,
Did you
I
fill
thought
them
about
up?
it, but no, I didn't.
Really? You didn't go
No.
to the store and buy big jugs of water, empty them so you could fill it with shampoo from a hotel?
I did not.
Let's look at you.
I did not.
You're really growing up.
Yeah. I got to take the tea and the coffee and the creamer and the whitener and the
You don't even put that stuff in your coffee.
But maybe I'll have a guest that will want that sometime. I'll be out of milk, but I'll have whitener and whatever. It won't go bad anytime soon, so whatever.
Does it not go bad?
I don't think so. It probably takes forever to go bad.
It seems like something that would take forever to go bad.
Like flour. Does flour expire? Maybe, but it would take forever.
Geoff, I could see you being a bumper sticker guy.
Come on, man. Not a chance. I would, over my dead body, would I, the worst, the nut low. I'm sorry. People can, this is bad. I'll tell you this is bad. Because this thing is over. I shouldn't even show up to the debate. Okay? I shouldn't
What are
even
you
show
going-
up to the
We're
debate.
talking about bumper stickers.
But yeah, so now that it's over, I have enough time to bury myself.
Go ahead.
Okay? Like I shouldn't show up to the debate. But the bumper sticker I cannot stand. It's like it's the family. It's this thing on the windowsill. It's like the family. Like,
Oh, I know the
holy
one you're
shit.
talking about. I know
Over
exactly the one
my
you're talking about.
dead body. Over my dead body. Would any bumper sticker, let alone that, little Jimmy with his hockey stick, the dog, the whole circus, nut low.
However, I am a fan of things inside the car. That I have no objection to. Like if you wanted
does
one of
that
those,
mean?
if you wanted like one of those hula dancers on your dash, I'm fine with that. Or if
What
you like,
about the people that have like 50 things lined up, like 50 Beanie Babies?
I
or
have
something
no problem as long as it
ridiculous?
doesn't.
That's because you have all these.
Yeah,
things.
as long as it doesn't obstruct your view. I'm a big fan of inside the car, decorate as you see fit. But outside the
No,
car, no.
come on, man.
I also will say if it will fit on your car, I'm okay with the like joke funny front license plate. You don't have to have it, but I'm okay with those because you can easily remove those. They don't stick to your car. Those can be easily removed.
the joke front license plate.
Yeah, you know.
I like. If
I
you,
like those.
If you have a vanity license plate, you're a fucking moron.
No, I don't agree with that.
I mean, you want to distinguish yourself, make yourself real easy to find, and probably get people always talk about this, like, whoa, if you drive a Lamborghini, you're gonna get pulled over more. I don't have the official numbers, but I guarantee you, people with vanity license plates get pulled over far more often.
You think?
Yes, absolutely. And it's always the poorest fucking people I know who have vanity license plates.
Speaking of which, I saw your most hated yesterday, the Porsche Cayenne, and it had a vanity license.
Of course it did.
I thought it looked
Well,
great too.
why not buy a cheap version of an expensive car and then get a vanity license plate that you can't afford onto it too? That only makes sense.
I don't think those things are cheap.
Well, they're as opposed to like high-end Porsches.
Okay, so to say when I recommended a Porsche SUV to our friend and other high-end SUVs to our friend, you hit the roof.
Yeah, he asked for an economical.
No, he just said, "What's some nice SUVs?" And I said, "Well,
You also
Bentley-
recommended him a women's SUV.
I said Bentley makes a Miata. That's a really nice SUV, and Porsche makes the Cayenne, and Volkswagen makes an Atlas. Like, so there's some really high-end ones that I like.
yeah, I mean the Cayenne's what?
50,
80 grand?
Oh, yeah,
I
80.
think it's like 80 grand.
That's a beautiful car. That's
It's not.
luxury
Why
car.
would I buy a Porsche if it was a fucking shit SUV that looks like a station
I
wagon?
think well, first, maybe this is because I'm watching a lot of 1980s Price is Rights, but I kind of think the station wagon is a pretty cool car.
Like, I just don't get it. Like, if you're gonna spend all that money to buy a Porsche, just buy a nice Porsche.
I think it's a nice. Oh, well, okay. Well, I think it looks nice. I like SUVs though. I think they look nice.
Yeah, I feel like Porsche isn't what you want to get for an SUV. You want to get like I don't know if they make the 911 anymore, but not the 911. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Porsche 911.
Yeah, they probably changed the name of that, I bet. But like that's the classic sedan, like sports car. Why would I want an SUV of that?
Geoff definitely has some bumper sticker slapped on his car at some point. Was very upset about it.
Never naked. Never. I've never.
You'll
been
never
in my
jab me.
Parents, My parents never had
Geoff
a
just
bumper
has
sticker.
a bumper sticker of a person with a mask and an X going through it. The back of his car.
I mean, in our climate, a Porsche is not your everyday car. Like it's your.
But
that
if
would
it's
be
an
a-
SUV, it is your.
Oh,
everyday
you mean
car.
like where we live?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with
But
you.
if you buy the SUV, it is an everyday car because
Yeah.
it's suitable for all weather.
That was kind of the point I was making.
Yeah, but you don't want a Porsche SUV.
I know I wouldn't do it either, but
Like your brand new SUV, Paul. Like that's what
Oh, it's
I would
gorgeous.
much prefer to have that.
and it's half the price.
Oh yeah, Paul's new SUV.
Is it half the
Ford.
price? I guess yeah, it's not like $100K.
Yeah, no, it would be half the price.
But like I have the Volkswagen Atlas.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I would prefer, like, especially for the practicality of driving where we live. It's bigger for one thing. It actually is a real SUV. It's like I had a BMW X1.
I like that too.
I didn't.
I know you
hated
called it the old beater.
Yeah, it's an old beater. Like it fucking sucked, and
That was nice.
it also kind of looked like a station wagon, which I hated.
I kind of like that look.
It's a terrible look. Again, you would excel as a soccer mom.
You know what else? No, I was just thinking of it. You know what else people get a lot of on the Price is Right in that year? They were winning a lot of color TVs. That was a big deal. And almost all of them had panels that you put in front of the TV when you were done, like a cabinet, and you would open it up. It's funny, you get to see when you watch these old pieces of pop culture, like what things that should have taken off that didn't take off. And that's one of them. The idea that you could like put something really nice in front of your TV when it's not on, it's actually kind of a smart idea. Because TVs, when they're off, don't look the greatest.
They're a
up on the
black
wall.
mirror.
I don't think they look the greatest. I think having like some really nice wood paneling for actually is a nicer something rather than that is nicer.
You need to stop watching shit. There's a reason this shit doesn't exist anymore.
Like if you could have a TV screensaver that was on your TV all the time,
You can. I have a TV screensaver.
instead of ever the TV being off, it's just there's always a screensaver.
I mean, I can turn it off, but if I leave my TV on, it will default to a series of different photos.
I don't think mine does.
I mean, I'm sure it does. You just don't have it set up.
Maybe.
That's what I would guess. All right. Let's jump back in here. Because we do need to celebrate the weekend of Geoff.
We do.
I know that the Niners didn't win, but Geoff, you were right. Damar Hamlin did not win Comeback Player of the Year. And you cashed in bigly on Joe Flacco winning Comeback Player of the Year. So we've resolved the debate once and for all. It is more impressive to play for the Jets at one point and come back and still have a career than return from the dead, is what we figured out.
So I actually believe the award belongs to Baker Mayfield. When you go from making $5 million to now you're going to make like $35 million, I believe that should be Comeback Player of the Year. But I mean, I'm supposed to victory lap now. I can make myself sound really weird. When my wife asked me the next morning that said, "Why did you tweet that you are Neil Armstrong?" and I responded to my wife with a dead straight face, because I walked on the moon. But I don't think I deserve the credit. To me should have happened in October. Like the second Hamlin went to a pick'em, to me, I was a victor. I was a victor. My prediction had come true. Players were going to play. Players were going to make an impact. Players that people remember were going to matter. Yeah. So lovely story for Damar. He's got his number retired on an ambulance.
He had
Kind of surprised the NFL voters didn't give it to him.
Well,
I'm happy.
it's funny because it seemed to be split on the voters. Like when you looked at the votes, Hamlin had more first place votes than Flacco, but it became one of those things that for the people that didn't vote Hamlin for first place, they didn't necessarily leave him off the ballot, but almost all of those votes went Flacco, Baker, Hamlin. So there are very few second place votes.
There's the only way to go. You can't. There's no world in which Hamlin is your second pick. Doesn't exist.
I agree.
Either if he's on the ballot, he has to be your first pick, or you don't put him on the ballot at all. You really have no choice in the matter. Because if the argument is,
you do have a choice. You can do what you want.
But I mean, logic. If you're going to be any way coherent about things, you're like, to say what he came back from is impressive enough to make it second or third. That makes zero sense. Either what he came back from matters, is important, and therefore he's first, or I can't even put him on the ballot because he didn't play enough, and Joe Flacco or Baker Mayfield actually played, and they deserve the award.
And you very.
I tried to stress to Pizzola that he should advertise the Hammer as the first place on the internet to roll out anti-Hamlin Comeback Player of the Year content. Like, that should be a badge of honor.
He also informally endorsed me on the show on Thursday. Well, endorsed the Vote for Geoff campaign.
Yeah, I don't know what Pizzola knows about me. Like, I know I worked with him for a long time, but I don't know what I could have done to outweigh all like the Jenga bricks for Tim.
He said, for me, I have unusual takes, but sometimes they're correct, but they're just sort of, they're out there. Sometimes they're controversial, but they're not crazy. Whereas yours are purely crazy. That was essentially the argument that he made.
But at the same
Stop
time,
looking into the camera, to the TV.
I can't help it.
Shouldn't it
What do you
count
mean
that I
you obviously
acknowledge?
can help it. You're turning away from the microphone to talk to a screen. He's not really there.
I know.
Paul.
In Tim's defense, this is probably less crazy than when Cam would talk to his phoner board.
That's true.
That's a blast from the past for anybody who watches like every episode.
And we have them.
I would say that, like Pizzola being fair and balanced, the fact that you think you are totally normal should be enough to win over Pizzola's votes. Because I acknowledge, like, something here, it ain't working. Like, it's off. But I also say, like, being normal, like, nothing worse than being normal. I got some friends who are freaking wild, and that's the best part about them. You can't go like you want someone normal, like go make friends with one of your kids' friends' dads. Like fuck that. I don't need any normies in my life. You want to get in my life, you gotta be weird as fuck at this point.
I'm kind of on the same page with you. I only know basically crazy people.
That's not true.
But no, we have one friend who is very not crazy.
Who are you thinking of?
Tim Butts.
I was thinking of there's just a few other people I can think of.
Yeah, but just that we interact with a lot.
Yes. I mean, I think I'm pretty steady. I do.
Therein lies the. If you ever wonder why you lose this vote every year, it's that.
I'm
right
not
there.
crazy. He's crazy.
There you are. You also had a giant Nick Taylor bet, which is pretty impressive, Geoff. After I didn't bet it for the first time all year. More on
Yeah,
that
that
on
was
the
like
golf show,
real-
but that's
It
very
was really
disappointing.
late at night on Wednesday. I didn't even put it out, but my bookie put something out. Not my bookie, like that website that I would never use because apparently it steals from people, like a true brown bagger. It's just such a big number. It was Super Bowl weekend. Thought win or lose. I threw a couple like late stupid hammers, like huge number hammers. And I got lucky. I won a lot, Pat, because that guy has a high bet minimum.
Oh, really? So you had to
yeah.
bet that much, and that's what
I had
led.
to bet that to get the bet, which is like, okay, now we hit it. But once again, I embarrassed myself. The Super Bowl.
Yeah, I had a bad Super Bowl.
I had a bad Super Bowl. A bad Super Bowl. Oh.
It was a good. I mean, I lost on the Super Bowl. Tim picked the Super Bowl right. You won into the 5 figures between Nick Taylor and Joe Flacco, but none of us won as much as Paul did. So
No.
it's just me sitting
Oh,
here.
Paul.
Oh,
Good for you, Paul.
we're very excited.
We were pretty pumped, Paul.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Thanks,
nice to
guys.
see.
Are you getting kicked off that site now, Paul?
You know, when I made the account there, I went in and for the first 2 weeks, I just played slots. Set a profile.
And now you're winning 11-leg parlays.
So hopefully I'm off their radar now. Because I mean, I get kicked out of a lot of places. It is what it is.
That is a lead
so
strategy.
I'm trying new strategies. So far, they're still letting me play. So I won't be withdrawing until they tell me to leave.
It's like George. He's spotting dimes across the room. He's eating onions out of the fridge. They don't know what's going on.
So should we talk about the really impressive Hall of Fame class for the NFL this year?
Yes.
I didn't realize Mongo was so sick, Geoff.
Yeah, I think I one time on the show actually said he was dead. So
He's not.
that was a mistake.
He's going into the Hall of Fame.
I don't want to
Did you have trips?
I like
did you have a trip
everyone who
planned?
made it.
Did you have a trip planned?
No, I mean I had a trip planned in my head. I'm happy that someone told me the hotel on site isn't even ready yet, which they were building when I was there last time. But am I missing something? Like Gates, I feel like would have been like a -400 favorite. Like what the fuck?
Is
and
there-
I love everyone who got in. I'm not here to throw a stone. And I'm honestly like, if I cared, trust me, the stuff I tweet about that I hardly care about, like you guys have seen. So I want you to believe when I say like All-Star games, Hall of Fame, like he's going to get in. This stuff doesn't really bother me, but I'm just weirded out and confused at his omission because I looked at it as like a lock. So I'm more weirded out than upset. Like he'll get in next year. And I assume the outcry for him, like the outcry for him, has almost done more for the narrative around him than not making it over the last 2 days, which is nice. But yeah, it's really weird. That's really weird. This guy was a 3-time All-Pro when Tony Gonzalez was in the league. This guy like set the stage for set the lineage that became Gronkowski, that became Kelsey. So I'm truly disturbed and I'm upset for him, and I wanted to hug Phillip this summer. Yeah.
I mean, Tony G didn't get in on his first ballot either, right?
He didn't?
I believe not.
No way
I
that's
believe
true.
he was a second ballot Hall of Famer.
Really?
I don't believe you.
Well,
Google that.
Well, if that's the case, then yeah, Gates wouldn't be a first ballot Hall. Tony
Didn't
Gonzalez.
Witten get in on his first ballot?
Jason Witten's in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly. Fuck. I like Jason Witten, but come on.
No, Jason Witten's not. Why would Jason Witten be in the Hall of Fame? Didn't he play like 2 years ago for like the Raiders?
No, Gonzalez was first ballot. I thought I read that he was not somewhere, but I'm
Yeah,
reading
to
here
think
that
Tony Gonzalez wasn't first ballot.
Yeah,
Like
Jason
you're insane.
Witten is not in the Hall of Fame. His jersey is in the Hall. He's the same way that Tua and Mike White are Hall of Famers. By the way, Tua could have done what Brock Purdy did in that Super Bowl.
Well, Brock Purdy actually played all right. No, I don't think Tua could have, because Brock Purdy had no turnovers. I don't know if Tua could have no
Oh,
turnovers.
why did I
every
think Jason Witten was?
Jason Witten didn't even make the list of 15 finalists.
game. See, neither of us know what's going on.
Also, Jason
Okay,
Witten
that's
should
a bad. I made a mistake. I think they're both horrible mistakes.
Jason Witten can be in the Hall of Very Good. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Like, give me a break.
So why were people? I remember. Okay, I just remember old Twitter beefs because I didn't believe he should have been, but now he isn't. Good. Yeah, no, whatever.
When is
It's just
Rivers
weird.
up? When is Rivers' first shot of getting in?
Maybe next year. Rivers won't be a first. Rivers will need like a long road. Rivers is also going to get hurt. As Rivers' chances, I don't really want to litigate this.
When's Eli up? Like, who comes
Eli's
up
in.
Earlier.
Eli's already in?
Has
Isn't
he been
he?
out of the year? Has he been out of the league?
I have a feeling you might not know who's in the Hall of Fame and who's not. Let's see.
I don't know.
I mean,
Should
Rivers
Eli-
retired after
From
the
3 days ago, it just says, should Eli Manning be a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Rivers retired after the 2020 season, so he still has 2 more years to go.
So who retired
Eli
first?
should get in. He won
Eli
2
retired
Super
first.
Bowls with the Giants. He's gonna get in.
yeah, Eli is going to get in. I think, at least.
Definitely.
So first-timers next year that are eligible. Manning, Kuechly, Vinatieri, Terrell Suggs, Yanda. That's going to be a big Ravens year. I guess all
Is
the
Gronk in next year?
No, because he played in the
He played
2021
Super
season.
Bowl, yeah. Earl Thomas, Demarius Thomas, Joe Staley, Talib, Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis is not getting in the Hall of Fame.
I like Vernon Davis.
Darren Sproles is on the ballot. Cameron Wake. Those guys aren't getting in.
See, this is now
Manning,
I'm upset.
Kuechly,
So
Vinatieri, Suggs, Yanda. Is Marshawn Lynch a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Yeah, probably not first ballot.
Okay, so I believe Eli Manning should be in the Hall of Fame, but I'm now upset that I have to go to Eli Manning's Hall of Fame weekend.
Well, do you think that there's a chance that they just keep Gates for when Rivers gets in and they go in together?
No, because Rivers isn't a lock. Like Rivers is going to be a down the road thing.
I think Rivers will end up getting in.
Gates is clearly not a lock either.
Yeah.
Because they took a look
no,
at him and passed
Gates
on him
is
for
a
Devin
lock
Hester.
to get it. Gates
Devin
is
Hester
a lock.
should be a first ballot unanimous Hall of Famer. He is the best special teams.
He had like 15 great plays.
That doesn't matter. That's what 12 more than anyone else ever.
No, but he had like 15 of them.
People are going to.
He was a fucking MVP candidate as a kick returner. That's how good he was.
If the NFL wants to get away from the Hall of Very Good, then Rivers won't get in. But as long as they maintain this like very good status quo, then Rivers is eventually one day going to get in.
Which is funny because I think that as a player, Rivers was better than Eli. But 2 Super Bowls and the last name Manning is going to, and he has, it's not like he doesn't have the stats to get in. He does have the stats to get in, and he has 2 Super Bowls. Therefore, he's going to be in. But
yeah, and
I don't know if Gates gets in next year because I don't know if I would like Earl Thomas. I think should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Manning is Manning.
Earl Thomas ain't getting in next year. You know what he's up to?
What? What is he up to? And is
He's
this
in
real
like
or
a-
something like you may have saw on the internet?
No, this is real, dude.
Okay.
He's like some weird fucking strange domestic incidents, man. Like guns and orgies and ex-wives and really fucked up shit.
Okay, so maybe not Earl Thomas then. I mean, as a player, I think that he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think Yanda is probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. Is Terrell Suggs a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yeah,
It feels like he is.
definitely.
And Kuechly is too. He was the best linebacker. I mean, Patrick Willis just got in. Kuechly was the other best linebacker of that time.
Yeah.
So like it's tough. Like you have some real heavy hitters coming in now.
And that's Gates' problem. He was never the best tight end at any time, right?
Well,
He's a 3-time All-Pro.
you can
What
say
are you
that
talking about?
he had years that were better than Tony G's.
Just like it went from Tony G, and then you more or less transitioned over to Gronk. There wasn't much of
No,
a gap there.
no, you forget. You have a gap.
Yeah,
you have a
you have
fucking
the
gap.
late 2000s gap.
Even when Tony G was in Atlanta,
You
he was
have
putting
a
up
gap.
ridiculous numbers.
You have a gap.
Okay,
Definitive.
I guess the voters agreed with me.
No, there's a gap.
No one
He
said
won
that Gates was
3-time
better than
All-Pro
Tony
while
Gonzalez.
Tony G was fucking playing. I'm just acknowledging you have a gap.
Like, here's the example that I would use, and I think this is where they went with it, because I do think that, like, Freeney should be in, Willis should be in, and I'm big on Hester being in. Julius Peppers was one of the... Like, the smirk that you give on Hester is fucking ridiculous.
I love everyone.
Like,
I love
give me
Andre
the case.
Johnson.
Give me the case against
He
Hester.
had like 15 great plays in his career. Like, that's impressive, but
So not all positions matter, then, is what you're saying.
some matter a lot more than others.
But-
Some matter a lot less than others.
But his mattered a lot. He was one of the... They had a defense in Devin Hester, and that's how they made the Super Bowl.
yeah, that's just
Crazy.
He scored like 4
Andre
touchdowns.
Johnson, I think, is kind of the equivalent of Gates at the
I love
receiver
him.
position.
I love them both. I love everyone who got in. I don't. Yeah, I'm not even offended. I just I'm offended when Tim has gaps and says it's not like he won't eventually get in.
Oh, he probably will
But-
eventually get in. But I just, of the names Pat mentioned, I would link all those guys still.
You can talk a little bit louder, by the way. Remember we were talking about how you have low volume?
First, I can't look at the TV screen. Now I'm not talking loud enough.
Well, I would like people to be able to hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Is that too much to ask on an basically audio medium?
Yeah.
It is too much to ask? I couldn't hear you.
You could hear me.
There you go. Now you're talking
You
loud
could
enough.
hear me.
Now you're not talking loud enough. Paul, is he even coming through? Is he registering on the microphone at this point?
You're doing fine, Top Cat.
Thank you, Paul.
You're doing okay.
Thank you.
Is it one of these things that we're like, we'll have to like spend time editing him up?
No.
Thank you, Paul.
I mean, Geoff, so the audio is a little bit all over the place with kind of all of you, to be honest.
Okay.
You're
But-
a little bit loud. You scream sometimes. Jeff's microphone. I think Geoff probably needs a new cord because, like, sometimes it's coming in real. Like, you guys probably hear it in your earpieces.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
he
It's
comes
like
in real
really,
hot
really
and he goes
hot,
really
and
low.
then it's like a little bit low. But
Well, he won't stop fiddling with it the entire time. So
No,
that's
because it's moving side. I gotta lock some. I gotta tape something down because it's like on its
Yeah.
own. It's
I don't
moving.
know. It's not the end of the world. Like we can hear you. It's just
I don't think I lost
it's
until this
I think
like
you may
Gates
need like a
thing.
new mic cord. That would
I
be
feel
my
like
guess,
I
but-
kept my composure until we got here.
when Tim said Antonio Gates and Devin Hester suck and shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know how well you kept your composure as you went on for 4 minutes about those guys who won't make picks in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but everyone agrees with him on that. That you'd think that would be something that would be controversial. Like even when he
No, it's not controversial,
put out his
just-
Twitter video, like everyone just loved it.
I agree. It was a great video. I wish I could have liked it more than once.
Did you get any private pushback on that, Geoff?
No. I wish. That's like I do that like hoping for that though, Pat. Like it almost feels like I failed because I didn't. I love that.
Too many people agreed with you. It was tough seeing.
I think there are some fence sitters who try to maintain. I think there are people who are my friends who aren't like thrilled because they like want to be my friend and then be friends with other people. So they're not like everyone, but some of these people who I think are my friends gave me props for the video, but we don't need to deep dive that either.
All right, well, I think that will do it on the Super Bowl recap. Anything final? Usher, thumbs up?
Oh, that was fine.
Roller skates.
They're coming back.
Do you think you could roller skate?
I think I could definitely roller skate. I used to skate. I can roller skate. I used to rollerblade when I was younger.
You're not younger.
I know. I think I could do it.
That's less definitive than you usually are.
I think I could. I used to rollerblade a lot. I'm sure I could.
I mean, those are two completely
They are different.
skills.
I don't have a whole lot of experience with roller skates. I have more experience with roller blades.
Do you think you could still rollerblade?
Yeah, that I don't think I'd have an issue with.
We should go film this after.
We could. I actually don't think I have a problem with rollerblades.
All right, Geoff. Do you
Tim,
think,
who do you think is winning the Super Bowl? I mean, sorry, how many games are the Jets winning next year?
Oh, I don't know. 8.
you said they
7.
you already told us they're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
you think they're
just-
going to get into the playoffs with 8 wins?
No.
Do you?
I'm refusing to allow my hopes to get up.
You've already told us they're winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I mean, deep down in my soul, I really don't think that. I think the window was gone.
Is that because we told you that you wouldn't be able to afford a trip to New Orleans to see them?
Apparently not. If it's like $5,000 to get in the building, and then like another $6,000 for hotel rooms, according to you people.
What was
Okay, so
what was the cheapest ticket last night?
$5,000.
5,000?
Yeah, so it got down to about in the fives after like most of the week, or like the pre-setup around the nines. So it shows you once again, if you're actually there and your team is there. I know it's stressful because for peace of mind, you just want to have your ticket, but it does seem like you just got to wait it out and stress and be a stress ball till you think you've got a bit of a number. I don't think next year will top. Like, obviously, it's team dependent.
Yeah,
but
but in this scenario, the Jets are in the Super Bowl. If the Jets are in the Super Bowl, there are enough rich Jets fans out there that they will be going.
I agree.
yes. So yeah, Tim is screwed anyway. Like,
Yes.
I'm lucky. Like, I could get a Chargers Saints Super Bowl and pay under face value one day.
If the Chargers ever make the Super Bowl, they might just sim that Super Bowl. They won't even have it. Just like, yeah. They'll run the sims on that one. Be like, yeah, Chargers lost. Don't worry about it.
No, there's a lot of opponents though. I could get a pretty cheap, not have a problem. The allure of the Vegas, the first time. I think a lot of like the high rollers blindly coming to town. There's no way the New Orleans price points are higher. Like, it's just in no way, unless the teams make it as such.
Yeah, and I'm saying that the Jets are one of those teams that could push up the number a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Any starving fan base will do wonders to the number.
But I would guess that the Jets fan base is one of the richer like the high end of Jets fandom is probably very rich.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
sort of
New
like
York.
49ers. There's
Well,
a
they're
lot of big.
They're in like Jersey. They're not like
Yeah,
No,
no
the
doubt.
older people when they played in New York.
New Yorkers. They like the Giants.
Yeah, but then when they played in New York State, there's still probably quite a bit of old money from there
When was that?
in the '60s, which means those guys
so
are in
all
their
the
70s.
dead, all the dead people.
No, if they were kids in their '60s, in the '60s they were kids.
Listen, I'm telling you, I lived in Jersey. I lived in New York. Giants fans.
No one would
Jersey,
dispute that, but I
Jets
guarantee
fans.
you, there's lots of people on Long Island in particular who are Jets fans.
Maybe that's true. Maybe Long Island, you're probably right on that. I'm just saying they probably do have a
Yeah,
lot of money.
sure they do.
And it's been very desperate for a Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
No,
so you don't have to
why would
worry
they?
about it.
That- I don't think
But
so
you're
either.
also talking about an American money too. So let's say it is a minimum. Let's say it's a minimum 4,000 of a ticket.
No, I'm not going to be able to afford
You
to
got
go. I'm
yours.
just not
I mean,
going to go.
You can afford to go. You just refuse
No,
to pay.
I won't
to
be.
go.
I won't be going.
Here's a once in a lifetime thing I can do. No, I don't want to.
No,
do it.
I won't
It's too
do it.
expensive.
I won't do it.
What if you did a GoFundMe?
No,
We'll do a GoFundMe for
I
you.
won't accept the money. I'll donate it
You
all to a
would not-
charity.
Tim, what if someone literally emailed you, these are 2 tickets? You wouldn't take them?
Oh well, that's different. But I don't
No,
want.
but they were bought with the GoFundMe money.
No, if they were bought, no, then I would not want them. I'd say,
But you don't
auction
know
them off.
that?
I'd say auction them off and give the money to charity.
Tim,
And that would be good karma for that Super Bowl, by the way.
I think $4,000 in the scheme of life for like the once in a lifetime thing, I think that's a price point.
No, won't spend it.
Why?
No,
What's the most you would spend?
What are you spending your money
no,
on?
won't do it.
What's the most you would spend?
$1,000? So I won't get
It's
in.
a fucking Super Bowl.
So I won't get in.
So you're not coming on this golf trip with us then?
No. there's
Okay,
no-
what if you
too
gave
expensive.
your 1,000 and then we GoFunded me the rest?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to spend that kind of money.
Tim, we want you there though.
That's you know what? You can have a camera on me wherever I am.
So what if we went there and then the other person, and then there was a content element where we could trick you to think like we'll make this money back with content.
No, I wouldn't feel comfortable.
That's disappointing. You should be able to, if they ever make the Super Bowl, you should be able to relish in that.
No.
Okay, we're gonna stage a situation where you like win tickets. We're gonna like stage that you won tickets.
I think
And everyone
I
in the PME universe is gonna know.
I
except
think
you.
I'm gonna. I would sniff that out.
You couldn't sniff out that fake McDonald's video.
I'm still not
last
convinced. I'm still not convinced that's fake. It's probably fake, but I'm not convinced.
All right.
We could literally get Bronstetter to call you like a radio station and give you a skill testing question, and you win tickets to the Super Bowl, and you'd believe it.
Yeah, you still
You
think
would.
there are radio stations. I don't even think those exist anymore.
The ones that I've been listening to that haven't been shut down yet exist.
Exactly. All right, that will do it for the Super Bowl recap. Want to thank Paul, Tim, and Geoff. We got tons of content to record for you. Southland Tales, go watch that because the movie Club is coming up. Geoff and I talked to Richard Deutsch, and I have some breakdown of PGA cameras, what they're going to do with those investment funds. So broadcasting rights for a lot of different sports. Will the Super Bowl ever go to pay-per-view? Geoff and I talked through all of this stuff. Geoff, Tim, and I will return next Monday for football with the power rankings. Additionally, all three of us will be talking about golf this week, too. So tons and Cust Corners over the next 2 weeks coming out. So a lot of great content coming up. Do not go anywhere. Sub and turn on those notifications and auto downloads for the Pat Mayo Experience. All right? I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!